Welcome into another edition of Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee McNelis. What a difference it means for the Lady Eagles to be back at home.
Home sweet home.
Home sweet home indeed. 65-50 winners were the Lady Eagles over a Louisiana Tech team that came in red hot, winners of 7 games in a row. Joy, the Lady Eagles shot it better, defended it better, held Louisiana Tech to a just abysmal shooting percentage. That's the type of effort the Lady Eagles have to have. Wasn't the prettiest game throughout for Southern Miss, but the Lady Eagles did more than enough to get that win.
You know, Josh, we did a lot of good things. Of course, we still did a lot of things we've got to improve on. The one thing that I think we made a giant leap in against Louisiana Tech is our overall urgency and aggressiveness. We won every 50-50 ball. I think that was the biggest difference in the game. You know, La Tech played extremely well. I thought we played extremely well. Defensively, I thought our defensive strategy where we went into the game is how we were going to defend La Tech was truly very, very good. I thought it, you know, it made them have to really compete every possession to score. And I think that, you know, even though it's a 15-point game, Josh, let's be honest, it really did not seem like a 15-point game at all. It was a much closer game than a 15-point game. Alexis Malone is really, really good. You know, fortunately, she did not have a great game. But she is really, really good. Kiera Anthony is very, very good. That's 2 of the top players in our league. But I think that our team did a really good job in defending them and trying to go at them offensively to create opportunities for us to get easy scores. But again, I think the biggest jump the Lady Eagles made is urgency and aggressiveness, and we won the 50-50 balls.
One of the things that Southern Miss did against Alexis Malone, maybe unlike against Western and unlike Charlotte, you were able to frustrate the Lady Eagles Malone early. That frustration really kind of trickled to some frustration for other players as well because it really stagnated their offense.
And we focused on Malone. I mean, anybody in the country that plays Louisiana Tech is going to focus on Malone. You're going to focus on Malone. You're going to focus on Anthony. You know, their new player, Taylor, that still shot the cover off the ball. I mean, she had almost half their points, I think, at halftime. I mean, that girl can really shoot the basketball. And so, again, I think that what we were trying to do defensively on some of their other players was very effective for us. We did not guard Taylor very well at all. That will definitely have to be another step we have to make defensively because she really can shoot the basketball. But I just think of the energy, Josh. I think our effort was very good, the intensity level. You know, I've said over and over that it's going to happen for Respect Liphart. You know, that we kept seeing it in practice over the holidays. And it happened. It was her breakout game last year against Louisiana Tech. Hopefully it's her breakout game that she will continue to carry on because I'm going to tell you, Respect was hugely a difference in that ball game for us.
Does it just show you how big the mental side is to the game?
Oh, my goodness.
She expected to have the breakout be Louisiana Tech and propel her for the rest of the year. The expectations were met and maybe even exceeded against Louisiana Tech, and now it's just up to her to keep believing.
Yeah, and you know, we told her in our practice on Monday that, you know, you took a dip. She did. She kind of went to sleep in practice, basically. And I said, no, we're not going back there. We're going to stay where we were. And we sub her back in, then she goes in and brings some more energy. We have to keep reminding her that she can't, because, you know, she's that laid-back personality individual, and if you don't keep her pumped up to go, then, you know, she's that young lady that just doesn't automatically have that. And so, again, that's going to be our coaches. And, I mean, we've been on her all year because, again, before she got injured in October, you saw those flashes of her, and then she just kind of struggled. She hit a wall, and her confidence was not very good, and so we've been on her. She's really committed herself over this break that we've had. I thought her breakout game honestly might come against Western Kentucky just because you could see it happening in practice. But I'm just glad it finally happened, Josh. I mean, I hate that we're 0-2 without it, but we got the win at home. And, you know, I do believe, Josh, that playing at home does make a big difference. And our, you know, we're comfortable here. Our fans are enthusiastic about it. Our players don't want to disappoint our fans. Our players do not. They really take that as a part of their heart and soul, is to make our crew proud. And so, again, I think all that played into us playing pretty well here against Louisiana Tech.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Megan Brown, the redshirt junior, already with diploma in hand. We'll talk about that experience, talk about what graduate school is like, and talk about her progression and the progression of this team. Then Coach McNelis will rejoin us in the final segment to talk about Megan Brown, her thoughts on Megan, and her thoughts about the big trip coming up to UAB and to Middle Tennessee. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching Southern Miss Sports Today. As we continue with Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee McNelis, we're joined by the now redshirt junior Megan Brown, already degree in hand from last spring, working on her master's, and has really just continued to develop in one of the most consistent players on this Lady Eagle basketball team. Many nicknames when you showed up and when you were recruited. It was downtown Megan Brown, that three-point shooting. But now it's really developed into the nickname, the moniker of Steady Eddie, that mid-range game, and just being such a calming force and more of a vocal leader. Which nickname is your favorite, and how have you embraced the change to being that player that can do a little bit of everything?
I like Steady Eddie. I do. It's grown on me. Downtown Megan Brown was definitely the what Coach gave me when I got here. But I've embraced Steady Eddie the most.
Well, I think Steady Eddie suits you, and there's so much going on. Talk about the academics first. Talk about getting that diploma and now working on your master's and be able to have a chance to do something that very few athletes get the opportunity to do. And with that medical red shirt, gives you a chance to get another year on scholarship. What an amazing opportunity to seize.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just, what a lot of people would have considered as an injury and a setback worked out in my good. And that is a blessing, and I think of it that way. But I'm working on my master's now, and I have the opportunity to be able to finish that and play basketball with the redshirt year, and also finishing a year early from school. And so studying kinesiology, I love it. I enjoy it a lot. It makes sense to me. So my sister is like really good at, the hospitable stuff like cooking. I'm not that great at it yet, but kinesiology makes sense to me. You tell me to run and move my body, that part makes sense.
Well, Megan, it certainly has been a lot of fun to see you put it all together, and now to have you a whole year plus now healthy. And that whole process in itself feels like a miracle to you and something you talk a lot about. And what all have you been able to learn while you've been knocking off the rust as a basketball player and as a person?
You say that, and for some reason the first thought that comes to mind just in one of the lessons that I say I've learned through the course is how to be proud of myself and how to celebrate myself, because I was not good at that my freshman or sophomore year. And just learning how to, it takes time, learning to trust the coach's process and be patient in the process with yourself. And I've learned to kind of celebrate me a little bit. And if it's a good game, Meg, you did a good job, And if it's a bad one, okay, let's do a little bit better next time. And I think I've grown in maturity in that area specifically. That has helped kind of knock the rust off and keep it off.
Well, certainly for you on the last road trip for the Lady Eagles, you had back-to-back games where you were our player of the game with 20 and 18 points in those two road games, or 20 and 16. You averaged 18 in those games. That was really it felt like a scoring coming out party because it was extremely efficient, almost effortless. You showed again, a variety of shots to the basket, at the free throw line, knocking in some clutch threes. The mid-range has really become your go-to shot. Yeah. How comfortable did you feel in that road swing?
Oh, that road swing was fun for me, to be honest. Offensively, I remember it just being a lot of fun and not thinking so much. I know we always talk about this, me and you, but when I don't think a lot, I play a whole lot better. And just, trust in the game. And I have great teammates that know where I can score well, and they trust me to make that shot. And so even that encouragement from them helps tremendously. Dump is always like, Meg, you can knock it down, So having people around you that believe in you more than you do sometimes.
We would have loved to have stolen a game, we being the Lady Eagles, on that road trip. However, you come home, you have so much confidence, the Lady Eagles do, in this building. And it wasn't a perfect game by any means, but you pick up a 15-point home win over a very solid Louisiana Tech team that bounced back in a big way with the win against Marshall. and again, didn't play your best, but now you go back on the road for 2 games. Lady Eagles have a chance to knock off back-to-back teams in Louisiana Tech and now UAB, back-to-back teams with 7-game winning streaks. So certainly UAB has Southern Miss's attention.
Oh, absolutely. They're a good team. From what I hear, they're leading the nation in three-point shooting. And so we're definitely going in respecting them, and I think we have to do that. But we're building confidence as a team, and I've been telling people we're going to figure out a way to win. And I'm hoping that this team can make an upset on UAB. I think we can.
In closing, continue on that thought about this team, finding a way to get it done. This team has found a way to energize itself with a smaller lineup at the start of games and then bring in the bigs throughout the game in necessary matchups and situations. How much fun has it been to see flashes of the feisty bunch of a year ago?
Yeah, I go back to preseason, because we came in with so much energy and so much excitement and just the newness of everyone being excited about the game. And I can remember that. And that's the part that always as a fan or people outside can't necessarily see. But that's the part that I hold on to as a player when we go through parts that don't look so good. And I just see the potential in this team. And I think if we can put pieces together like Allery Mays just being confident and comfortable with playing, and Dump is being steady, and everyone just coming in, even Allie Kennedy. I mean, that girl can play. She can play, and just that freshmen learning their roles and just being confident in who they are. And when we get those pieces together, Respect had a great game. I mean, if she didn't have a good game last game, we probably would have came up short. And so just all those pieces coming together, it's really for us as a team effort. But I love that part. I love that dynamic that we have. It's not just 1 or 2 players that can get it done. We have a team that have great potential in individual players.
And last thought is a thought from you to young players out there, future Lady Eagles, recruits that are watching this, your teammates and families that are watching this. A little word of wisdom for those watching. You've always got a word. You've always got a little wisdom in that mind. You're an older soul than just a few years on this earth.
Speaking of that, I have a birthday coming up, and I have 2 gray hairs in my head.
Oh, my goodness.
I probably shouldn't have said that on camera, but it's true. So words of wisdom.
One word of wisdom for us.
One word of wisdom. I would say trust God. That's my word of wisdom.
That's a good word of wisdom.
Trust God, and that's a lot in that. But trust God and trust the people around you. One lesson that I think I learned being here is that my coaches have my best interests in mind. And sometimes you lose sight of that when you're being challenged and being criticized and being pressured, and you feel the pressure. But trust God, love Him, and trust the people around you.
Megan Brown, always a fantastic interview. Megan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We will take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with Coach McNelis. She'll be back in that hot seat to talk about the big road trip at UAB and at Middle Tennessee. We'll take a break. Back in a moment. You're watching Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee McNelis. As we wrap this edition of Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee McNelis, Lady Eagles now looking for their 10th win to start this road trip, on the road at UAB, then on the road at Middle Tennessee. But we start this segment talking about the very special young lady who joined us in the last segment, Megan Brown, the redshirt junior. She prefers, as she told us, Steady Eddie. And boy, does she embody that steady presence on this team. Day in, day out, she's a player that is really one of those steadying forces on this team.
Megan is. And I think it goes back to, number one, Megan's core of who she is. She is a very even keel person. Off the floor, on the floor, she's the same every day. And I think that's why she's so steady on the basketball court. I do believe that she has truly elevated her play this year because of her commitment to the game. In the past, she played the game to play the game. And, her focus was academics. Her focus was she going to graduate early. Her focus was she going on the mission field? What exactly was she going to do? And last year, even though Megan had a pretty good year, she was torn in a lot of different directions. But this year, she says, Coach, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm going to be a part of this. I'm graduating early, but I'm going to make a difference. And I will tell you, she has done that. We were talking before we went on the air about how good she is at 15 feet and in. I mean, I'm telling you, Josh, she's probably shooting 70% from 15 feet and in. And so we've really challenged her to improve that three-ball shooting. If she becomes a very good three-ball shooter, she makes it very difficult to guard.
And for a player like Megan that knocks in those 15-footers to a player in Jayla King who is putting up monster numbers, right at 16 points and 8 rebounds. We were talking about her being in the top 10 in the league in almost every statistical category. Here's a player in Jayla King who's wanting to take a page out of that Megan Brown playbook and elevate that mid-range part of her game, because you feel like Jayla's got some incredible games ahead of her this year.
You know, and she does. She's got to decide that it's coming to an end for her, and she may not ever play again. And the mid-range game has got to become the money game. Megan Brown has put the time in, to be very honest with you. She's put the time in for those games. Jayla has put in some time, but not the same amount of time that a Megan Brown has. When Jayla King puts in that time, then I will tell you, Jayla King will be very good at that 15-foot jumper. She has to do that for us to be able to win on the road or at home in Conference USA.
Well, speaking of being the time, it's the time once again for the Lady Eagles to go back on the road against a team in UAB who's trying to seize their moment, a UAB Blazer team that right now is shooting the cover off the ball. They have been on the brink of really breaking out for quite a few seasons. Yeah. Coach Randy's doing a great job there in Birmingham. Great job recruiting to what is a beautiful campus and a city with a lot of life and a lot of energy and a lot of things to do. They're recruiting well to it. This is a Blazer program that might, at this moment, coming off that 18-point win against Western, they might be the class of the league at the moment.
You know, Coach Norton does a great job over there at UAB, and I will tell you, they've gotten better and better and better. They have. And Rachel Childers and company can flat shoot the basketball. They got Deanna Kuzmiak that can flat shoot it. You've got Rachel Childers that can shoot it. But I'm telling you, the juice of that team is Maya Barnes. Maya Barnes has elevated her game to a different level. Last year, Maya, as a freshman, ducked her head, got to the rim. It was about Maya Barnes scoring the ball. This year, it's about Maya Barnes setting up everyone else. And I'm going to tell you, Josh, they are really, really good. And I think what makes them so good is Maya Barnes. She just does a great job of really in leadership and running that show and getting the ball in the hands of the right people. But I'm going to tell you, when you have somebody like Childers that can flat shoot the basketball, it makes a lot of things difficult for you. Because last year they played Childers at the 4. This year Childers is playing on the wing with Kuzmiak. And I tell you what, it makes it difficult guarding the post. Now, there are post players inside. They're true bruisers. They are aggressive post players. They go to make their moves. They're strong in the post. But it's hard to get any double team action in there because you got those three-ball shooters and Maya Barnes that can really get to the rim and create opportunities for people. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not sitting here telling you that Maya Barnes can't shoot a three-ball, because she can. The Lady Eagles have their hands full. Shantae Hales, Allery Mays, Allie Kennedy must step up and contain Maya Barnes, because we cannot let her run all over the gym and create opportunities for those three-ball shooters. And
then in closing, Middle Tennessee is a team that has been a little bit up and down, not as physically intimidating as it has been in recent years, but if they can slow you down and force you to play their game, that physical game in the half court, that's when life becomes difficult, and at times they can do that in Murfreesboro.
Well, the thing is that Middle has suffered injuries. Kyla Allison, which is one of their post players that played a lot of minutes, and then preseason player of the year, Alex Johnson. And we all know how good Alex Johnson is. I don't know. They may be coming back. They may be playing in our game. I'm not sure. But when you have two key players like that to go down, it makes it difficult. But Coach Rick Insel and them have done a great job of really elevating Reuter's play, which is a post player inside. They've really elevated Sissom. And you and I both know how good Sissom is playing and how good she can shoot the basketball. But they've got a freshman in Anna Jones that hit 6 threes the other night in a game that is really developing some confidence. And then you've got Jess that also plays on a wing, Lauro, that can really shoot the basketball as well. So again, this weekend, we have got to defend the three ball. That is something we've not done a very good job in. And so fortunately our practice guys are back with school in, so we've got our practice guys to be able to go against, to be able to contest that 3-ball and box out for long rebounds. Must opportunities for us. We must take advantage of them this weekend. Lady Eagles have got to take the fight we had at Western, the play we had at home, on the road to UAB and Middle Tennessee. Two coached teams, teams that are very well coached. I'll get it out here in a second. And 2 teams that are loaded with 3-ball shooters. We've got to be able to really put the clamps defensively. Defensively will determine our success.
Well, Coach, always a pleasure. I want to say a special thanks to you out there for watching. Special thanks, as always, to Craig Adams for putting everything together and make everything run so smoothly. Fans, don't forget to join us each and every Monday night, 6 to 7 o'clock at Georgia Blue in Hattiesburg. Your chance to talk Southern Miss Lady Eagle basketball with Coach McNelis and myself. Until next week, you've been watching Southern Miss Sports Today.